Students, welcome to Dotto Academy. So hope you are all well at your home because we all are quarantined at home due to coronavirus spread. But this coronavirus also has a good effect in our life. Do you know what it is? That is that this coronavirus, the fear of coronavirus, I should say, has completely changed our mode of living. Here you see, here we have already started learning online. Okay, now today we are going to study Daffodils, written by William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth was a romantic poet. There are five big romantic poets in English literature. They are Wordsworth, Coleridge, Keats, Shelley, and Byron. Wordsworth is the most famous of them, and today we are going to study one of his most famous poems, that is Daffodils. Okay, Daffodils is the name of a yellow flower. Now, this poem Daffodils is a romantic poem. So, why it is romantic poem? Romantic. This word obviously not in the sense you are thinking of. There is no case of love affair in this poem you will find. So sorry to upset you. But let me tell you, here romantic, the word is used in the sense that our love for nature. These five big poets, their deep passion for nature is expressed through the word romantic or romance in their poetry that we will find. Okay, so now let me tell you the background of this poem Daffodils, and also tell you the thing or reveal to you the fact that here we know in this poem the poet Wordsworth is alone here. But let me tell you the true fact. Actually, Wordsworth was not alone when he was enjoying the company of daffodils. He was accompanied by his sister Dorothy Wordsworth. Okay. One day it happened that William Wordsworth, along with his sister Dorothy Wordsworth, was returning from their friend's house to Grasmere. And on their way back, they encountered a large number of golden daffodils, and they were growing on the bank of a lake. The name of the lake is Woolswater. Actually, these romantic poets that I named before, they used to live near this lake, Woolswater. Therefore, these poets, romantic poets, they are also known as lake poets of England. Okay, and at the sight of the golden daffodils, they were very much astonished and they become overjoyous. Okay, and this incident happened in the year 1802, and in the year 1804 this beautiful poem was written by William Wordsworth, which got publication in the year 1807. So what happened in between 2 years? Years later, or 2 years after, the sight of the golden daffodils all of a sudden flashed in the mind of William Wordsworth, and he composed this beautiful poem Daffodils. Okay, but unfortunately, or this is the unfortunate fact, that his sister Dorothy Wordsworth was dropped off from the entire poem. Therefore, the poem begins with only I wandered lonely as a cloud, and there is no trace of his sister Dorothy Wordsworth you will find in this poem. Now, let us read this poem. Okay, so Daffodils. The line goes, I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills. These two lines, basically the first line, is of much importance. I wandered lonely as a cloud. So here I refers to none but the poet himself, William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth was one day wandering or roaming freely, and he was all alone here. As I told you, that his sister Dorothy Wordsworth was intentionally cut off from the entire scene. So he was wandering lonely, and like a cloud, like a piece of cloud that floats on high over vales. Vales means valley and hills. So, like a piece of cloud that floats on high over valleys and hills, our poet William Wordsworth also strolling lonely there. Okay, and this is a figure of speech. This is very much important. You should note it down. The figure of speech is called simile. What is simile? Simile is that figure of speech in which two dissimilar objects are compared together with a point of similarity, with at least a point of similarity between them. And the second point, or the second characteristic of this figure of speech simile, is that there must be the use of like and as or such as. Okay, because it is a direct comparison, means the thing which is compared to the other thing is directly stated by the poet, that here I am comparing this thing to that thing. Therefore, here you see the use of as in the very first sentence. I wandered lonely as a cloud. So here the comparison is very direct, that the strolling of the lonely poet here is compared to the floating of the solitary cloud. I wandered lonely as a cloud. So here you see in the slide, I have underlined three words in the first line: wandered, lonely, and cloud. These three words are very much important, and I am going to explain each word here. So I wandered. Wandered means to roam freely. Okay, to roam freely without having a particular destination to reach. So when you do not have any work in your hand and you are roaming freely, it ensures you the freedom to observe nature very much closely or very much minutely. So here you see William Wordsworth is wandering, and he has the freedom to enjoy the nature to its fullest. As we have read the poem written by Robert Frost, the name of the poem is Stopping by the Woods on a Snowy Evening. And at the end of the poem, what Robert Frost says, that I have miles to go before I sleep. So when the poet Robert Frost was enjoying the beauty, the scenic beauty of nature, suddenly he was reminded of his social duty. Therefore, he had to leave that place. But here you see our poet William Wordsworth was wandering without having any work in his hand. Therefore, he enjoys the freedom to enjoy the scenic beauty of the daffodils. Okay, and whenever the word wander you utter, one image comes to your mind. Suppose you close your eyes and suppose or think in this way, that someone is wandering. So wandering, whenever you utter this word wandering, you can envisage the image of a vagabond. We know vagabond. Vagabond is the person who roams freely hither and thither without having any particular destination to reach. Okay, he is carefree in this way. So here we can see that our Wordsworth is just like a vagabond roaming there. Okay, or spending the time very idly or leisurely amidst the nature. Now the second word, lonely. Here the poet says that I wandered lonely. He was all alone here. Okay, and the word lonely is suggestive of the idea of seclusion. Seclusion means separation. Here our poet is separated from the human companion city life. Let me tell you that William Wordsworth used to live his life in the cities, and he does not like the city life. He thinks that city life is quite mechanical. Therefore, he has the urge to return to the lap of nature. So in the city life, he feels himself very much isolated or feels lonely here. Okay. Now the third point, the third word is very much important that you have to understand. At first I am going to elaborate the second point of this. Okay. The second point is that I told you that in a simile there must be at least one point of similarity in the given comparison. So what is the similarity between the poet Wordsworth and the cloud here? here you see a cloud when floats in the sky. It completely depends on the blowing of the wind in terms of its speed, in terms of its direction. Therefore, we can say that a cloud is directionless, and a cloud is also aimless. So, just like the cloud, our poet William Wordsworth is as aimless and as directionless as the cloud itself. Okay, my point. Now, the first point that is very much crucial one, that these clouds are suggestive of the melancholic mood. Melancholic means the sad mood of the poet. Okay, here the poet is very much sad. How? How can I say so? Because suppose that when we say that we are gloomy or we are in a sad mood, metaphorically we speak that our mind is cloudy, because cloud is always suggestive of our sad mood. So from this comparison we can come to the conclusion that our poet is in a melancholic state or in bad mood. So the first line sketches the present state of the poet Wordsworth, and that is his melancholia, and his melancholia for being alone, his melancholia for being aimless in life. There is a true fact in his life, okay, that happened in his life and that made him really sad. That is the death of his brother John Wordsworth just a few months before. Maybe therefore he feels himself quite alone in his life. Okay, but if you do not have to mention this thing in your answer script. Okay, now now I am reading these lines, that I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd. All at once means all of a sudden I saw a crowd. All of a sudden my attention was caught. My attention was caught to the crowd. What is that crowd? A host of golden daffodils. So a host of golden daffodils caught my eyes, caught my attention all of a sudden. And here you see written golden daffodils. As I told you, daffodils are of yellow color, but here the poet deliberately used the word golden for the daffodils in order to give enrichness to the flower daffodils. Therefore, he used here golden daffodils, though the daffodils are yellow in color. So, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils beside the lakes, beneath the trees. So, where these daffodils grew, they grew beside the lake, that is Woolswater Lake, and beneath the trees. Fluttering, what they are doing? Now they are fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Fluttering, they are fluttering means they are fluttering their head, okay, or tossing their heads in the wind. It means that it is a breezy day. The mild breeze is blowing, and with the blowing of the breeze, the daffodils seem to be dancing. Okay, they seem to be dancing here. Therefore, we can say here this is the example of personification. When it is said that daffodils are dancing in the breeze, here daffodils are personified. Do you know the meaning of personification? From the very word person, it comes personification. It means that, or this is the figure of speech in which the characteristics of a person are attributed to an inanimate object. So here you see, who can dance? We, the human beings, can dance in joy. But here it is said the daffodils are dancing. So the quality of the human beings, or the characteristic of human being, that is the dancing action here, that is attributed to the inanimate object daffodils. Therefore, we can say that daffodils are personified here. Okay, my students. Now, there is one more interesting point about this poem, that is reverse personification. We have all heard or learnt about personification, but I am sure you must not have heard about reverse personification. So what is reverse personification? So here you see what we have learnt about personification. In case of reverse personification, it is completely opposite. Okay, here here the qualities or the characteristics of an inanimate object are attributed to a human being. So here you see in the very first line, I wandered lonely as a cloud. There you can trace the use of reverse personification, this figure of speech. Here William Wordsworth is compared to the piece of cloud, and piece of cloud obviously is a natural object. Okay, so in case of personification, an inanimate object is compared to the person, and in case of reverse personification, a person is compared to the inanimate object or the natural object. So therefore we can also come to the conclusion, or we can firmly say it, that here the poem implies an inherent unity between man and nature. Therefore see, the qualities of nature can be found in a man, and the qualities of nature can be found in man. Therefore there is an inherent unity between man and nature. If you are a good painter, you can make a complete sketch of this landscape. Okay, what you have to do, you have to just pick up these words from the poem: hills, valleys, lake, trees, daffodils, breezy atmosphere, and with the use of these words you can make a beautiful picture if you are a good painter. Okay, this is called word picture. Here you see our poet William Wordsworth is also a painter, but here he does not use the brush and paints or colors to make a picture, to make a drawing, but here he uses the words. Okay, this is called word picture. Just with the use of the words, a poet has the ability to make a picture in your mind. Okay, my students, so with the use of hills, you just draw a lake and hills and valleys and trees also, and daffodils, a host of golden daffodils you can draw, and to make it the day is breezy, you can make the daffodils are tilted to like this. Okay, so in this way you can make a complete sketch of this landscape. Now going forward to the next stanza, the second stanza: continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. Let me tell you first the meaning of some words here. Milky Way. Milky Way means the galaxy, where we see or where we find the constellation of stars. Can you count those stars? No, obviously no. And in the fourth line it is written along the margin of a bay. Bay means here, as you know, Bay of Bengal. So bay means here not sea but lake here, and margin means bank. So along the margin of a bay, it means that along the bank of the lake. Along the bank of the lake, we know that the host of golden daffodils grew here. Now now let me tell you this thing, that continuous as the stars, these lines are very much important. Here one more simile is used here, and simile means direct comparison. Here daffodils are compared to the stars in the Milky Way, and there are 2 points of similarity between them, as you can see in the slide. Now the first point of similarity between the daffodils and the stars is that they are numerous. They are numerous. They are unnumbered. You just can't count them. Okay, they are numerous. And the second point of similarity between them is that they are luminous. Luminous is the adjective of the word light. Means they both are shining and twinkling. Here in the book, in the poem, it is written that as the stars that shine and twinkle. So we know that stars are shining and stars are twinkling, but how the daffodils are shining and daffodils are twinkling? Daffodils are shining because of their golden color. It is written that they were golden in color, host of golden daffodils. Therefore they are shining, and they are twinkling means they are because they are fluttering in the breeze. Therefore they appear twinkling as the stars. Okay, and here you have to understand the implication of this comparison. When the daffodils are compared to the stars, the poet implies that daffodils are as heavenly as the stars themselves. Okay, we know the stars are heavenly and daffodils too are heavenly here. Okay, so this point is very much important. Ten thousands. No, let me tell you one more thing, that the use of these words continuous as the stars. So continuous here in the sense that numerous, daffodils are numerous as the stars. And the use of the word never ending line, the daffodils grew in never ending line. Actually the flowers could visible as far as the poet could see. The poet could not see beyond. Therefore, it seems to the poet that the daffodils grew in a never-ending line, as if there is no end to the growth of these daffodils. Okay, and with the use of the phrase never-ending line, we can say that this suggests the flowers left an everlasting impact upon the poet, that we will see in the latter part of this poem. Now the poet says that 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance like this. Okay, so 10,000 saw I at a glance. At a glance means quick look. So the poet says that whenever I cast a quick glance, I saw 10,000 daffodils at once. So here the poet has started counting the daffodils. No, that is not. So the poet intentionally and deliberately has used the term 10,000. Why? There is also one more figure of speech employed here. That figure of speech is called hyperbole, or what we know in other way or in other words exaggeration, যেটাকে আমরা বলি বাড়িয়ে বাড়িয়ে বলা। ঠিক আছে, হাইপারবোল, এটা মনে রাখা যাবে হাইপ করে বলা, যে হাইপারবোল মানে হাইপ করে বলা। ঠিক আছে, টু এক্সাগারেট দ্য থিং, হোয়েন ইউ ইনফ্লেট দ্য থিং। So here the poet William Wordsworth deliberately exaggerates the number of the daffodils in order to create a visual impact of unnumbered daffodils in the mind of the readers. Okay, so he means to say that there are numerous numbers of daffodils growing on the bank of the lake. So this is an example of exaggeration or hyperbole. You should note it down. Tossing their heads means they are tossing their heads like this, means waving their heads in the wind, in the breeze, and in sprightly dance. Sprightly means joyfully. They are joyfully tossing their heads as if they are dancing. Now the third stanza, the waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. There is the use of a metaphor here. What is the difference between a simile and a metaphor? Both are same, but there is one distinct difference between them. In case of a simile, the comparison is direct. The poet will tell you directly that here I am comparing this thing to that thing. But in case of metaphor, the comparison is not direct, rather it is suggested or implied. You have to understand it that this thing is compared to that thing. Okay, and here you will not see the use of the words like such as, like. The use of such words you will not find in a metaphor. That is the basic difference between a simile and a metaphor. So regarding the comparison with the stars, this is an example of simile, but regarding the comparison to the waves, this is an example of a metaphor. Here the daffodils are compared to the waves in the lake. It is said the waves beside them, means beside the daffodils, the waves in the lake are also dancing. They are also dancing. The waves in the lake, they are also dancing, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. Outdid, please note it down. Outdid means to exceed or to surpass. Okay, মানে কোনো কিছুকে ছাপিয়ে পেরিয়ে যাওয়া, কোনো কিছুর থেকে ভালো, মানে better than that. The sparkling waves in glee. Glee means also joy. So here you see the waves are the waves are dancing like the daffodils, and the waves are also sparkling like the daffodils. So here you see when the wind is blowing, there will be ripples on the surface of the water. Therefore, the poet says the waves are dancing joyfully in the bridge as he can see the rippling of the water on the lake. And like the daffodils, they are sparkling too. The waves are sparkling too. Why? Because on the ripples of the water, due to the reflection of the sunlight on water, the waves are sparkling here. So the daffodils means the waves here, like the daffodils, are dancing and they are sparkling too. Okay, my students. Now the poet says that I can confirmly say it that the daffodils exceed waves in terms of joy. Who is more joyous, daffodils or the waves? Because both are dancing, both are sparkling, then who is more joyous? And according to the poet, it is obvious that the daffodils who appear to be more joyous. Then what's the reason behind it? Because their daffodils are dancing, they are fluttering, they are tossing their hair, so as if they are more lively, they are more joyous. Okay. So the waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. In such a jocund company, jocund means in such a joyful company. So whose company is it? The company, the joyful company of the daffodils that the poet is presently enjoying. So here the poet says that seeing such a beautiful scene, seeing such the beauty of the daffodils, a common man or a layman like you and me may not feel joyous. We may not be happy at the sight of such daffodils, but it is completely a different case with the poet. If you are a poet, then you must be happy. You cannot but be gay. Gay means happy here. Cannot but be, which means that you must be, a poet must be happy at the sight of such daffodils. You can never avoid it. There is also a poem written by William Wordsworth. The name of the poem is Westminster Bridge, and there the first two lines go that dull would he be of soul who could pass by a sight so touching in its majesty. The beauty of London city is stated in this poem, Westminster Bridge. The poet is on the Westminster Bridge and is viewing the morning beauty of London city, and he says the beauty, the sight is so much touching in its majesty that if you pass by, who can pass by such beauty? Now a man who is dull in the sense that who is devoid of any aesthetic sense. Aesthetic sense means the sense of praising the beauty, the sense of seeing the beauty. Therefore, a proverb also goes that beauty lies in the beholder's eyes. Beholder means one who is seeing it. Okay, whether something or someone is beautiful or not, it completely depends upon the person who is looking at that thing or that person. Okay. So here, if you are completely dull of your soul, if you lack in your aesthetic sense, then you can pass by such a beauty. You can, or you may not be happy, or you can never be happy with such beauty. But it is completely different with the poet. A poet must be happy with such beauty of the daffodils, with such joyful company of the daffodils. I gazed and gazed. Here you see, gaze means to look at something constantly without taking your eyes off. So here the word gazed is used here twice. Why? In order to give some emphasis that the poet is so much enchanted, the poet is so much enthralled with the beauty of the daffodils that he could not keep his eyes off of the daffodils. Okay, he could not keep his eyes off. He looked at them constantly. Therefore he said, I gazed and gazed as if I have lost in the world of the beauty of the daffodils. Okay, but little thought what wealth the soul to me had brought. Little thought. The poet says that I was so much engrossed in enjoying the beauty of the daffodils that at that time I little thought. What is the meaning of the phrase little thought? Little it does not mean that I thought a little. There is a difference between little and a little. Little, only little is a negative word, which means no, means at that time I did not think it. It does not mean that at that time I thought a little. It means that at that time I did not think. So little thought means while I was enjoying the beauty of the daffodils, the thought did not come to my mind that what would I get, what wealth the sow to me had brought. The sow means the sow of the golden daffodils. What this sight had brought, what kind of wealth it would brought to me. Because many would ask, এই তোর কাজ নেই, বসে বসে এই ড্যাফোডিলস দেখছিস, যা বাড়ির কাজ করগা। সেটা নয়। তাহলে এগুলো করে এগুলো মানে বিউটি অফ নেচার থেকে আমরা কী পাবো? কোনো সম্পত্তি পাবো, কোনো BMW কার পাবো কি পাবো না, সেটাই প্রশ্ন। বলছি সেই সময় কিন্তু আমার মাথায় এই প্রশ্ন একদমই আসেনি, ঠিক আছে। ফর অফেন হোয়েন মাই কাউচ আই লাই, নাও হিয়ার ইউ সি the poet asks this question that what wealth the sow had brought to me. Now in the last stanza or in the next stanza, the poet himself gives the answer to us, to the readers, okay, the frowning readers I should say, that who could not know how to enjoy the beauty of nature. So he said that for oft means for often, when on my couch I lie, on my couch means on my sofa, when on my couch I lie in vacant or in pensive mood. On vacant mood means blank, in my blank mood, or with no such great thoughts in my mind, or in pensive mood. Maybe I am very much sad, I am very much gloomy, or sad thoughts are in my mind. At that time they flash upon that inward eye. They means here the host of golden daffodils. The host of golden daffodils flash upon means they came all of a sudden like a flash of lightning, they flash upon my inward eye. The inward eye means the eye of our mind, or what we call imagination. In my imagination, all of a sudden I can view the host of golden daffodils, which is the bliss of solitude. Bliss means blessing, and solitude means loneliness. I was all alone, and this is the blessing, that all of a sudden the host of golden daffodils, its beauty came to my mind. Okay, later I will explain to you this phrase, bliss of solitude. It is very much important. Now then my heart with pleasure fills. What happens to me when the host of golden daffodils came to my mind all of a sudden? Now my heart with pleasure fills, means my heart gets filled up with pleasure. I feel very much pleasurable and dances with the daffodils. Now at this time my heart starts dancing with the dancing of the daffodils. Okay, now here you see what happened, that the poet a few years ago had encountered the host of golden daffodils, and his encounter with the daffodils lie dormant in his subconscious mind. But after some time, after 1 or 2 years later, when he is reminded of such a beauty of golden daffodils, he feels elated. He starts dancing in joy with the daffodils. Whether he is in pensive mood or whether he is in vacant mood does not matter. At that time it gives him immense pleasure that he wants to make the point. Now here you try to understand the thing. If you reread the poem or come to the first line of the poem, the poet says that I wandered lonely as a cloud. So in the beginning the poet was all alone, he was lonely, but here you see in the end of the poem what happens. He experiences here the bliss of solitude. The point that I want to make here, in the beginning when the poet was all alone, he did not enjoy it. Okay, but here you see in the end, when he is all alone, he enjoys his loneliness. That is the difference between the word loneliness and solitude. There is vast difference between these two words, though we often mistake them as synonymous words. Those are not. Therefore, there is a quote for your better understanding, that loneliness expresses the pain of being alone and solitude expresses the glory of being alone. Suppose your spirit is very low, you feel dejected, somehow you are rejected in some cases, okay, you are in depression. So at that time, what you say to your family members? Please leave me alone. So at that time you want to be alone to enjoy your loneliness? No, rather to feel your pain, to suffer. You want your loneliness. But when you enjoy your loneliness, suppose you are all alone and you want to recollect all your good and sweet memories, all your heydays in your life, at that time pleasure come to you or a smile comes to your face. Is it or not so? When you can enjoy your loneliness, that will be called the solitude. That will be called that is called here by the poet the bliss of solitude. Hope you have understood it. Okay. Now the question still remains, if the question is given here, that what wealth the soul to me had brought. What wealth? Obviously the poet says that it is not the material gain in this mundane world, in this earthly world. No material gain I have got, but what wealth I have got, that is happiness, that is a pleasant memory, okay, that I can cherish in my memory since the time or since the day I saw it. Okay. Therefore, Keats in one of his poem Endymion wrote the beautiful line that a thing of beauty is joy forever. So here you see the beauty of the golden daffodil is still cherished by the poet, and it still keeps on giving him immense pleasure, immense happiness. Okay. And the second point, what wealth the beauty of nature can bring to us, can promise to us, that is the healing power. Nature has a healing power. Okay. In one of his poems written by William Wordsworth, he tells that nature never did betray you. Okay, nature never did betray you. The name of the poem is possibly Tintern Abbey. Tintern Abbey. In this poem, he said that suppose you love someone, then he or she may betray you, but nature will never betray you. And nature has the healing power. As I told you, when we feel dejected or rejected, when we are in low spirit, what we do? We want to go to the lap of nature. If you are a sea lover, you will visit the seasides. If you are a hill lover, you will visit the hill areas. Is it or not so? So the nature has its own beauty, and with its beauty, with its charming presence, nature can heal your wounds. Therefore, it is said the nature has a healing power. The poet said that when I am in pensive mood, means when I am depressed, when I am dejected, my lips, my spirits are very much low. At that time, the flash of daffodils obviously lift up my spirit. Such is the great healing power of nature. And therefrom, we can conclude that this is the influence of nature on man. We know how much barbaric we are, how we treat nature, but nature obviously treats us with its healing power. So this is the poem Daffodils. Hope you have enjoyed it, and if you have watched this video, please write a summary of this poem, and if you have any further inquiry, you can ask me with a free mind, no problem. But one more thing, please do subscribe to my channel, okay, and share it with your friends. Okay, stay at home and stay safe. Bye bye.